It is customary to chant a Santi mantra. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Santi Santi Santi. In this video, I hope to bring to you the Tattva Bodha, the knowledge of the truth. This is the first book one should read if you are aspiring to pursue spiritual quest. It introduces several terminology and various concepts you need while reading other books such as Upanishads. After reading this book, you will have the right mindset. Many think that this book, Tattva Bodha, was written by Sri Adi Sankaracharya. For a majority of the people, after experiencing the hardships of the life lived, it dawns on them rebirth only brings unhappiness and misery from the desires that never get fulfilled. Convinced that misery ends only with the moksha, he then turns his attention towards spirituality. An innate desire to achieve moksha sets in. One's attention turns towards spirituality with the goal to achieve moksha. He seeks the help of a Sadguru. It is difficult to get moksha without the Sadguru's help. With the help of the Sadguru, he sets out to seek the nature of his own Atman. When he realizes that Atman and Brahman are one and the same, he achieves moksha. Tattva Bodha addresses various topics that are pertinent to achieving moksha, starting with the fourfold qualifications a seeker must have in order that he may achieve moksha. We now dwell on those sadhana chatushtaya. The seeker of the spirituality is called mumukshu. In order that one be successful in spiritual pursuit, one should have the following four gunas. They are viveka, that is, a firm conviction that Brahman alone is eternal and everything else is short-lived or transitory. Moksha implies to be one with Brahman. Since Brahman is eternal and pure bliss, everybody wants to be with Brahman. Hence, it is imperative that one believes Brahman is eternal and be convinced about it. Second qualification to be successful in mumukshatvam is vairagya. Vairagya is an intense dislike for earthly and heavenly pleasures. If one has any desires, then he would reborn to fulfill those desires. The third qualifying quality is one must possess our Shatka Sampatti, namely Sama, Dama, Uparama, Titiksha, Shraddha, and Samadhana. We will talk about them shortly. The fourth and the final qualification is mumukshatvam, an intense desire for moksha. Now we will elaborate on Tarka Sampatti. When one is not overwhelmed by emotions and keep them under check, is called Mano Nigraha or Sama. In general, sensory organs are controlled by mind. However, sometimes they may act involuntarily. Control of the involuntary actions by the sensory organs is Dhamma. For example, if someone is going by, we may turn to look at them involuntarily. Dhamma is Indriya Nigraha. Uparama is strict observance of one's own dharma. Here, dharma implies duty, duty towards himself, to the parents, teachers, society, etc. Such a person is normally at peace with himself and society. Peacefulness is always conducive to achieving one's goals. Titiksha is the development of mental framework that allows one to endure opposites such as heat and cold, pain and pleasure, etc. With this framework of mind, one is not perturbed by the vagaries one may come across in life. Shraddha is total belief in teacher and scriptures. Samadhana is a single pointedness of the mind so that one will be able to pursue the train of thoughts during the practice of dhyana. We will now learn how the Tattva Viveka is done. Every person, one time or the other in his life, wonders that who am I? Am I the body or Panchakoshas or the Atman? Am I the waker? Am I the person in the dreams? Am I the deep sleeper? And he tries to find the answers for all these questions. He also wonders, how was I created? How is the universe created? What is this Atman? Who is Isvara? Who is Maya? What is controlling the universe? What are the building blocks of the Srishti? What is karma? If you are like me, you would be wondering about all these things. So, we try to find out the answers for all these questions, and that is find out what is true. The inquiry into this truth is Tattva Viveka. Tattva Viveka leads us through a convincing narrative culminating in the conclusion that Atman alone is real and everything else is unreal or midya. As in any subject, we have to learn some new terminology, which includes some formal definitions to clarify some notions and dispel misconceptions. In this regard, let us define Sat and Asat. Sat. Sat is anything that remains unchanged in all three periods of time, that is, in the past, present, and future. Asat is everything that undergoes changes. Asat is also called Mithya. A person's experience can be categorized as Aham or I and B, this. Atman is I and the rest of the world is Idam. However, one wrongly identifies Atman with the body slash mind, etc. Tattva Viveka leads to the conviction that only Atman is real and the body is Midya. Everybody thinks that the Atman is the body. Sometimes we think it could be the mind, etc. In fact, every person is an embodiment of Panchakoshas and they are divided into Sariratraya. Atman could be any of the Sariratraya. We will now see what Panchakosas are and their partition into Sariratraya. Then we will see if any of them could be the Atman. The Panchakoshas, the five sheets, are Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya koshas. Now, let us look at each of these koshas. The physical body is called Annamaya kosha since it is produced by and nourished by food. Prana that makes the bodily functions run are clubbed into pranamaya kosa. Projections of mind are called manomaya kosa. Intellect that makes decisions based on the knowledge is called vijnanamaya kosa. The deep sleep state is called anandamaya kosa. Since every person experiences the same state of bliss in deep sleep. Annamaya kosa is called stula sarira, pranamaya kosa, manomaya kosa, vijnanamaya kosa, combinedly called the sukshma sarira. Anandamaya kosa is called the karana sarira or causal body. Hence, panchakosas are divided into sarira traya, namely sukshma sarira and karana sarira and stula sarira. Now we try to find the nature of Atman or the self. To do that, we start with what Atman mistakes itself to be. For example, the Atman could mistake itself to be one of the Sarira Traya. Let us reiterate that Atman is eternal. In other words, it is Sat. Anything that changes is Asat or Mithya and cannot be the Atman. Moreover, if we are perceiving something, implies that the perceived object or the thing cannot be Atman. Now let us see if Atman could be any one of them. If we look at ourselves, we are aware of our bodies changing all the time. So Atman cannot be body. That is Sthula Sarira. We can see how our minds are changing and perceive prana. We are aware of our intellect and how it changes over time. So Atman cannot be any of them. Hence, Atman cannot be Sukshma Sarira. We are aware of deep sleep by absence of thoughts, dreams, or any activity. That means we are perceiving deep sleep. So Atman cannot be Anandamaya Kosa or Karana Sarira. In, our, in other words, Atman cannot be Sarira Traya. Everybody goes through three states called Avastatraya, namely waking, dreaming, and deep sleep states. A person identifies himself differently during the different states of Avastatraya. For example, during the Jagrata Avast, that is waking state, a person uses sense organs to perceive the world. The self identifies with the gross body in this state. And it is called Viswa because all the faculties are operating and the individual is in a complete form. During the Swapna Avastha, that is dream state, the self identifies with the subtle body, that is mind, and it is called Taijasa. The mind projects a new world based on the impressions gained during the waking state. Consider the Shushupti Avastha, that is, the deep sleep state. It is a state one wakes up and says, I did not know anything during the sleep, but I enjoyed a good sleep. The self identifies with the causal body is called prajna, that is prayena agna, that is almost ignorant. During this state, one is free from the limitations of gross and subtle bodies. So, he is in a state of bliss, ananda. Question is whether Atman could be any one of the avastatraya, that is Visva, Taijasa, or Prajna. The self is same in all three states and called differently. Since it is present in all the three states, it is called the witness or the sakshi because it is aware or it is the observer of the activities or lack of the activities in those states. Hence, the self or the Atman is none of those three states because it is aware of all those three states. So it cannot be avastatraya. So what is Atman? Till now, we have seen that what Atman is not. That is, it is not the Panchakosha, nor the three bodies. That is Stula, Karana, and Sushma Sariras. It is neither three states of existence. So, what it is? By definition, Atman is of the nature of Sat Chit Anand, that is, existence, consciousness, bliss. What is Sat? Sat implies that the Atman is unchanged in all three periods of time, that is, past, present, and future. Consider a clay pot. Clay existed before the pot was made. It is in the pot. It will be there even if the pot is destroyed. All perishable things are made of substance that is permanent and fundamental. If Jagat is perishable, it must be made of substance that is fundamental, that is Atman. So, Jagat is made of Atman. Now we consider the second aspect of Atman, that is Chit, consciousness. Chit is awareness. We are aware of the Jagrat, Swapna, and Shushupti avasthas. Chit has no time limitation. It is present in the past, present, and future. And the third aspect of Atman is Ananda, that is absolute happiness. It is experienced when one is with oneself. For example, if one gets his most desired object, he momentarily feels very happy, Ananda, because he is momentarily with himself. Ananda is the fundamental nature of human beings. One should know oneself to be of the nature of Sat Chit Ananda. We have seen that Atman is and what it is not. We now try to understand what Jagat, that is the universe, is and its relationship with the Atman. Brahman is the creator of the universe. Now we consider Jagat and its creation. That is, we are going to talk about the creation of the universe. The word Brahman is derived from the root brah, which means to grow. Thus, Brahman implies bigness or infinite. However, Jagat is finite and changeable, whereas Brahman is unchangeable. If so, how can Brahman, the unchangeable, change into a changeable Jagat? To understand this, we look at the two fundamental concepts called Karanam and Karyam. In the modern science, we know that the matter cannot be created or destroyed. So everything has to come out of something. For example, a mango sapling comes out of a mango seed and then it becomes a mango tree with branches and leaves. The mango sapling tree is in the dormant form or potential form in the seed. In Sanskrit, the potential form is called the Karanam. Whatever comes out is called the Karyam. We all know that the universe cannot be created from nothing, since the matter cannot be created nor destroyed according to the science. Therefore, it must exist in its potential form or unmanaged form, called Karana Prapancha. You cannot see it because it is in a avyakta or unmanifest form. This avyakta prapancha is called Maya. The modern science could not determine what was there before the Big Bang because the universe was in avyakta or unmanifest form before the Big Bang. Before the manifestation of the universe, Brahman and Maya were there. Brahman is Chaitanya Tattvam and Maya is Achetana Tattvam. From the mixture of Brahman and Maya, entire universe described in 24 principles or tattvas evolved. Brahman associated with Maya is Isvara. Maya is endowed with three aspects, also called Trignatmika. The first aspect is knowledge, that is Gnana, the function of the intellect. The second aspect is the activity, that is Kriya, function of prana. And the third aspect is Jada, the inert matter. And they account for all the creation in the world. The three aspects of Maya are Sattva, Rajo, and Tamas Gunas. And their manifestations are knowledge, activity, and inertness. Maya is called Trignatmika or Sattva Rajas Tamo Gunatmika. The 24 tattvas, which describe the entire universe, are the five elements called Panchabhutani, namely space, air, fire, water, and earth, as well as their rudimentary essences called Tanmantras, also belong to the group of 24 tattvas. Thus, all the 24 tattvas are manas, buddhi, ahamkara, and chitta, the five karmendriyas, the five gnanendriyas, the five tanmantras, and the five elements. All these constitute the 24 tattvas. Initially, all these five elements, that is Panchabhutani, evolved from Maya. And these five elements has the characteristics called tanmantras. In this table, we see each element, fundamental element, akasa, and its tanmantra or characteristic is sabda. The vayu, that is air, its tanmantra is sparsa, touch. Agni, the fire, its tanmantra is rupa, form. Apa, that is water, its tanmantra is taste. Prithvi, the earth, its tanmantra is gandha, smell. In the next table, we show all the 24 tattvas. In the first column, we have the manas, buddhi, ahankara, and chitta, the four tattvas. And then the panchabhutani, akasha, vayu, agni, apa, prithvi. And their tanmantras are sabda, sparsa, rupa, taste, and gandha. To these 14, we add the Gnanendriyas and Karmendriyas. The Gnanendriyas are ear, skin, eye, tongue, nose. And the Karmendriyas are mouth, hands, legs, genitals, and anus. Note that Gyanendriyas are the sattva aspect of the five elements, and Karmendriyas are the rajas aspect of the Panchabhutani. We now discuss about the creation of organs. In the previous slide, we talked about the Panchabhutani uh, and their tanmatras. So basically, Akasa was first created. From Akasa, Vayu evolved. From Vayu, Agni evolved. And from Agni, Apa, that is water, formed. And from Apa, that is from water, Prithvi, earth formed. The five elements evolved in order of grossness. Akasa has one property, namely sound. Vayu has two, namely touch and sound. So the child inherits the properties of the parent. Similarly, other elements have their own property and inherits properties from its parents. From these five elements, Panchabhutani, the sattvic aspect of these five elements results in creation of Gnanendriyas. The creation is such a way that the organ can recognize the element. For example, guna of Akash is sound, so E is formed. The guna of Vayu is spasha, so skin is formed. Similarly, other organs, Gnanendriyas, formed from various elements. Now we will discuss the evolution of the antakarana, that is the mind. From the total sattvic content of the five elements, antakarana, the inner instruments of mind, namely the manas, buddhi, ahankara, and chitta, are formed. The nature of the manas is to doubt. That is its job. You might have noticed after leaving the house, you may sometimes wonder whether you locked the door or not. That is the function of manas. Buddhi is the faculty that makes the decisions. Ahankara, it is the feeling that I did it, is the owner, taking the ownership. Okay, that is ahankara. Chitta is the process of recollecting the past events and providing the guidelines to buddhi to make various decisions. Now, the karmendriyas are formed from the Rajasic aspect of Panchabhutani. From the Rajasic aspect of all the five subtle elements help make up the five pranas, namely prana, apana, samana, udana, vyana. Now we talk about the creation of gross bodies in the universities. The gross bodies basically evolved from the tamasic aspect of the Panchabhutani. Just as we have Sushma and Sthula Sariras, the Panchabhutani also have Sukshma and Sthula Panchabhutani. Sthula implies gross bodies. The tamasic aspect of Panchabhutani are involved in making the Sthula or gross bodies in the universe. The process of creating Sthula Panchabhutani from Sukshma Panchabhutani is called Panchikarana. In other words, the tamasic aspect of each element are combined to form the gross elements. The process of Panchikarana is discussed next. In this table, we have the five fundamental elements, namely space, air, fire, water, and earth. These gross elements tend to split into half. By the third stage, they split into half, and one half remains unchanged, and the other half is split into four components. In the process of Panchikarna, the solid half is mixed with the four elements from the other fundamental elements. For example, if you take the space, the first half of the space is mixed with the one part of air, one part from fire, one part from water, one part from earth. Similarly, one half of air is mixed with one part of space, one part of fire, one part of water, and one part of earth. This process is called Panchikarna. The five grass-fed elements and their combinations creates the gross objects of the world, including our gross body, including our gross body. The individual body is called Pinda, and the cosmos, consisting of all gross objects, is called Brahmanda or Anda. We have seen how the gross bodies in the universe are formed from the five elements. And we also have seen the karmendriyas and gnanendriyas are the rajas and sattvagunas elements of the five elements. Now we talk about the Adhisthana Devatas and Iswara. All Gnana and Karmendriyas have presiding deities called Adhisthana Devatas, who are the functioning authorities of the organs. They make sure the organs function within the laws of nature established by Iswara. The following table lists the various Gnanendriyas and Karmendriyas and uh, their Adhisthana Devatas. The Adhisthana Devata of ear is space. For skin, it is Vayu. For eyes, it is Sun. For tongue, it is Varuna. For nose, Ashwini Kumaras. For mouth, it is fire. For hands, it is Indra. For feet, it is Vishnu. For anus, Mrityu. For genitals, Prajapati. For manas, it is Chandrama, that is moon. For ahankara, it is Rudra. For buddhi, it is Brahma. For chitta, it is Vasudeva. Now we talk about Jiva and Isvara. The reflection of Brahma in an individual is called Jiva or Jivatma. Due to avidya, the Jiva thinks it is different from Isvara. As long as this difference remains in one's mind, there is no redemption from samsara. In other words, no reprieve from cycle of birth and death. The awareness, that is Atma, conditioned by avidya or upadhi, is called jiva or jivatma. The awareness, conditioned by upadhi called maya, is known as Isvara. So, jiva and Isvara are nothing but consciousness, but conditioned by different upadhis. Due to this difference in upadhis, which is due to self-ignorance, the jiva thinks itself as different from Isvara. Ignorance can only be removed by subjective knowledge from a Sadguru alone. Now, Tattva Bodha tells us what the Mahavakya Tattvamasi is about, how to interpret it. This is basically the essence of Upanishads. So, Tattvamasi means that thou art. So one would wonder, how can Jiva and Isvara be one and the same? Jiva is an ignorant being and has an ego, while Isvara, without ego and omniscient, knows everything. So to understand this Mahavakya Tattvamasi, that thou art, we have to consider the implied meaning of the word thou. The implied meaning of thou is pure awareness, free from all conditionings, flaws, instead of ignorant and egoistic jiva. Similarly, consider the implied meaning of the word that. Isvara, with a pure awareness, free from all conditionings, instead of Isvara having omniscience, etc. Hence, there is no contradiction between Jiva and Isvara from the standpoint of awareness. One may also wonder that Jiva is limited in knowledge, limited to a small area, that is Alpavyapi, and limited in abilities, whereas Isvara is all-knowing, Sarvavyapi, and all-powerful. How to reconcile these opposite entities? Note that the jiva is nothing but the self, circumscribed by the individual ignorance, avidya. The word thou really means the self, which is jiva's true nature. In general, sentences are two types, namely samanya vakya or simple sentence and lakshana vakya, sentence with an implied meaning. The mahavakya, that Tatsomasi, is a lakshana vakya. Here the implied meaning of thou is self. This self is visualized by negating the identification with the upadhis. Even though the self is present in all three states, namely waking, dreaming, and deep sleep states, the real self not realized in the three states is realized in the state of samadhi. This state is Suddha Chaitanya or pure awareness. Similarly, that implies Isvara, not constrained by Maya, but pure awareness. The difference does not arise if viewed from the level of pure consciousness instead of individual plane. Basically, here, in order to understand these Mahavakyas, we have to meditate upon them and try to negate the upadhis we are bounded by. When you achieve that, then you go into samadhi. That is Suddha Chaitanya or pure awareness. That is the essence of Upanishads. Tattva Bodha teaches us some of the vocabulary needed for us to understand Upanishads uh, and various scriptures. So we will dwell on those terminology. The first one is Jivan Mukta. Jivan Mukta implies one who is liberated in this life while still alive. Jivan Mukta is one who realized that there is no difference between him and Brahman, and as well as the universe. Another term is Asanga, that is unattached. Jivan Mukta has a Dhrudanichaya, that is firm conviction that I am not the body. I am not of any caste, nor am I a man. He does not perform any action with the sense of aham. Hence, he does not accrue karma phala. One more term we should know is Satchidananda. Since Jivan Mukta is one with the Brahman, he is of the nature of Satchidananda. Sat Chit Ananda, which is the definition of Brahman. Now consider the word Chidakasaru, formless consciousness. He is of the nature of Atman, the accommodator of the universe. Now, Tattva Bodha introduces us with three ways of acquiring knowledge. Okay. Aparoksha Gnana. One acquires knowledge in three ways. The first one is pratyaksha or direct knowledge acquired by direct perception. Second is paroksha, indirect knowledge obtained by inference, that is anumana. So paroksha knowledge is the knowledge obtained when the object of knowledge is not present. Aparoksha, that is immediate knowledge, is neither pratyaksha nor paroksha, but immediate. Immediate knowledge of the self is aparoksha knowledge. Now we consider some more terminology. Freedom from bondage. Aparoksha knowledge makes one free from bondage. Once a person becomes Jivan Mukta, all bondages vanish. There are three types of karma known as agami, sachita, sanchita, and prarabdha. Agami karma is when a person performs actions with aham, I am the doer, accrues punyas and papas. They are called agami karma. Sanchita karma, when a person dies, these agami karmas become sanchita karmas which mature in future. They are fulfilled in countless births. Prarabdha karma is the karma that is mature to be fulfilled at the birth. In this video, we presented the essential concepts in Vedanta. Tattva Bodha is the first book one should read before embarking on the Adhyatmika pursuit. It dealt with the relationship between the Atma and the Paramatma. Also presented the concept of Ishvara and the universe and their relation to the self. Described how the Panchikarna creates the gross bodies, including our own bodies, in the universe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.